Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing what we do best, taking a complex new executive action and really breaking it down. We're looking at Executive Order 1 205, signed February 7th, 2025 by President Trump. And this isn't just minor tinkering, it sets up a significant new entity, the White House Faith Office.
That's right. It's a major reorganization, really. And the philosophy behind it is, well, it's stated right up front. The core idea in the order is that faith groups, community organizations, houses of worship, they often do a better job solving local problems than the government itself,
Yeah.
sometimes much better.
That's quite a premise to start with, basically saying government should partner, not compete with these effective local groups. And the aims are pretty broad, right? Strengthening families, protecting religious liberty.
Exactly. And, for you listening, it's key to remember this isn't totally out of the blue. The EO itself mentions amending older orders. Some go all the way back to, 2001.
Yeah.
So there's a precedent. But what we're seeing now is a real consolidation, taking scattered efforts and putting them under one roof, a high-level roof.
Okay, yeah. Less partnership, more like a central command post for faith engagement.
Kind of feels that way. A definite shift.
So let's dig into that shift. Section 1 lays out the policy thinking. It says these groups lift people up, keep families strong, the usual arguments. But the goal tied to that, and this seems critical, is making sure they can compete on a level playing field for federal money. Grants, contracts, the whole deal.
Mm-hmm. That level playing field is like the foundational concept here, legally speaking. The administration is framing this as upholding the Constitution's guarantee of religious liberty. They're committing to ending, quote, any form of religious discrimination by the federal government.
So getting rid of barriers, maybe old rules or biases, that kept some faith groups from getting public funds.
That's the idea. Systematically taking those down, which leads right into the structural changes, starting with the name.
Right, the rebranding. It's pretty significant. They're simplifying things.
They really are. Gone is the old mouthful, White House Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives, OFBCI. Now it's just the White House Faith Office.
Yeah.
Much cleaner.
And dropping community initiative seems intentional, doesn't it? Puts the focus squarely on the faith aspect.
Absolutely. It sharpens the mission of the central White House office.
And that simplification extends down to the agencies, too, like Commerce, VA, Homeland Security. They had similar offices.
Yeah, they had Centers for Faith-Based and Community Initiatives.
Oh, okay.
And now all those are mandated to be just Center for Faith.
Center for Faith. Simple.
It is. And it's strategic. It creates uniformity, makes it easier for this new White House office to, coordinate and hold everyone accountable. The name change signals the priority shift.
Okay, so we have the philosophy, the rebranding. How does the actual machinery work? Where does this new office physically or bureaucratically sit? The order puts it in the executive office of the president, the EOP, that's prime territory.
It absolutely is. This isn't some backwater operation. It's specifically placed within the Domestic Policy Council, the DPC.
Ah, the DPC. And for listeners, why is that placement so important?
Well, the DPC is the nerve center for essentially all domestic policy development and implementation across the government.
So putting the faith office inside the DPC, that gives it instant clout, leverage over other agencies' domestic plans.
Exactly. It elevates it. It's not just a liaison. It's positioned to be a real policy shaper.
And who runs it?
There's a senior advisor to the White House Faith Office. And their mandate, the core job, is to have lead responsibility across the entire executive branch for empowering these faith and community groups.
Lead responsibility, that's strong language.
It is. And to make it stick, they have to work closely with the DPC itself, with the Office of Public Liaison, and crucially, with all those renamed centers for faith out of the departments.
It forces everyone to talk to each other, basically.
Forces integration, yeah.
Yeah.
It wires the system together.
Okay, so that's the structure, but the real substance is in what it's told to do, right? You mentioned 11 specific functions. That sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. We could probably group them into, say, 3 main themes to make sense of it all.
Okay, let's try that. What's the first theme?
Let's call the first one community focus and expertise. This is all about who they need to talk to and what issues they need to cover. The mandate says they have to consult with a really wide range of experts and leaders inside government, state, local, tribal leaders on all sorts of domestic issues.
Building a brain trust, essentially.
Pretty much. And the list of topics they must consult on is Well, it's huge.
Yeah, I saw that list. Strengthening marriage, family, protecting women and children, work and self-sufficiency, education, crime reduction, prisoner reentry, substance abuse recovery. I mean, it covers almost everything.
It's an enormous portfolio for one office. Just staggering.
And within that community focus, there's that specific point about religious bias.
Right. This ties directly back to the core mission. The office has to actively work on combating anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and additional forms of anti-religious bias.
So it becomes the White House point person for tracking and addressing religious bias in federal actions or maybe even public discourse.
Seems like it. And they also have to showcase innovative programs run by these groups, kind of like a federal best practices spotlight.
Okay, theme 1 is expertise and scope. What's theme 2?
Theme 2 is reducing barriers and promoting funding. This is the practical side of that level playing field idea.
Yeah.
The EA explicitly recognizes, that lots of really effective small local faith groups just don't have the staff or expertise to navigate federal grant applications.
The bureaucracy is intimidating.
Totally. So the order mandates specific actions to fix that.
Like what? Training.
Exactly. The office had to coordinate training programs across agencies, specifically for faith-based grantees, to build up their skills and, getting grants, managing them, doing the reporting.
So helping them learn the ropes.
Yeah, an institutional effort to help newcomers play the game.
And it's not just training, right? They have to actively look for new partners, too.
Yes. They're directed to promote grant opportunities targeting groups that are, quote, inexperienced with public funding, but that operate effective programs.
So proactive outreach, not just waiting for applications to come in.
Right. And another interesting piece here, the funding focus isn't just federal dollars.
Oh.
The office also has to consult with private businesses about things like employee volunteer programs, corporate charitable giving, payroll deductions for charity.
Ah, so trying to leverage private sector resources, too. Kind of a whole-of-society approach.
Seems like it, broadening the potential impact significantly.
Okay, that makes sense. So community focus, funding access. What's the third theme? You said this one might be the most impactful.
Yeah, let's call theme 3 religious liberty advocacy and enforcement.
Uh-huh.
This is where the order really gets its teeth legally and regulatorily.
Okay, how so?
Well, first, the office is mandated to help agencies develop training on religious liberty exceptions, accommodations, or exemptions.
Meaning? Explain that a bit.
Basically, if a religious group gets federal funds, this office needs to ensure agency rules respect that group's ability to operate according to its faith, within the law, of course, making sure funding doesn't force them to violate their beliefs.
Got it. So training agency staff on how to apply those complex rules correctly.
Crucial training, yeah. But then there's the enforcement part. This is where the accountability really kicks in.
Okay.
The office has to work directly with the Attorney General, the AG, to identify any failures by the executive branch to actually enforce existing constitutional and legal protections for religious liberty.
Wow, linking it straight to the Department of Justice, that sends a strong signal.
It does. It says non-compliance won't just be ignored.
And it's not just reactive, they have to propose fixes too.
Exactly. The office must propose ways, legislative, regulatory changes, whatever, to reduce burdens or barriers on religious freedom that hinder groups from participating in government programs.
So identify problems and propose solutions, a proactive role.
Very proactive. And to make sure this whole system works across the board. There's a neat little bureaucratic requirement tucked in.
Oh, yeah.
Any relevant agency that doesn't already have one of those setters for faith has 90 days to designate a specific faith liaison.
Ah, so no agency gets left out. Everyone has a point person accountable to this new White House office.
Exactly. Ensures cooperation across the government.
So let's wrap this up. What we're seeing is a major overhaul, taking a long-standing, maybe somewhat fuzzy concept and turning it into a sharp, centralized, cabinet-level priority. It redefines the partnership, plants an advocate right inside the DPC, and mandates concrete steps on funding and enforcing religious liberty.
That sums it up well. A complete structural shift. But it's also important, to mention the built-in limits. The EOS is pretty clear about what the office can't do. It doesn't take away power from agency heads regarding their statutory duties. And it doesn't override the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, when it comes to budget or legislative proposals.
Okay, so it coordinates and advocates, but it doesn't control agency budgets directly.
Correct. It's primarily about policy coordination and getting rid of barriers. And like most EOs, it has that standard legal language.
The disclaimer.
Yeah, basically saying the order doesn't create any new legal right for someone outside the government to sue or demand some benefit. It's an internal management directive.
Understood. Still, it packs a lot into one document. Definitely sets a clear direction for federal engagement with faith groups for the next few years.
No question. But as you think about all this, consider that language we discussed in Theme 3. The office must combat anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and additional forms of anti-religious bias. That word additional is interesting, given the big promise of a truly level playing field for all. What policies or actions might this White House Faith Office tackle first to specifically address those additional forms of bias? How do they demonstrate that commitment beyond the two groups named explicitly? That's going to be a key challenge, maybe a test for this new office right out of the gate.
A really interesting point to ponder. What does additional really mean in practice? Thanks for breaking this down with us. That's all for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.